Hey everybody, it's Paige, and today's video is going to be another ranking video. I absolutely love filming these. I think the most recent one I filmed was ranking all of my ColourPop palettes, which I had like 40 of those. Today, as you can tell by the title, we are going to be ranking my NATASHA Denona eyeshadow palettes. Now, I don't have as many as I do ColourPop, but I still have 17 NATASHA Denona eyeshadow palettes, which honestly surprised me because I did not think I had that many. Let me just show you. Oh boy, I feel like they're all gonna come crashing down. Here are all 17 of my NATASHA Denona eyeshadow palettes. Now, this video was actually inspired by Samantha March. If you guys don't know who she is, I will have her linked down below. I will also have her ranking NATASHA Denona palettes video linked down below. I think she posted it like a day or two ago. I love her content so much. She is such a sweet girl. She just seems like a great friend, even though, I mean, like, I don't know her personally, but she just seems really cool, and she seems to be living her best life right now, so I am very happy for her. And yeah, I love ranking videos. I love NATASHA Denona eyeshadow palettes, so I thought this would be a fun video for me to film as well. So all credit goes to her for the video idea for this, and like I said, I will have her video and her channel linked down below. Definitely go check her out. I actually found her videos through you guys. A bunch of you guys recommended her channel to me. I think I might have asked once, and so many of you guys recommended Samantha March, so I checked her out and I love her videos now. So thank you to you guys out there for recommending her channel, because my life would not be the same without her. That sounds kind of deep. I didn't really mean it that way. But anyway, if you guys are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy, and let's go ahead and get started. So I have my handy dandy list of NATASHA Denona eyeshadow palettes that I've already ranked, and are you guys ready? I'm kind of nervous. I don't know why. I'm gonna be starting from my least favorite and then going up to my favorite NATASHA Denona palette. So this is kind of unfortunate because my least favorite NATASHA Denona eyeshadow palette that I own is actually my most expensive one. Oh god, this breaks my heart. So this is the NATASHA Denona Star palette. Now, this isn't a bad palette, like, it's really not, but it is my least favorite out of the ones that I have because of the color story. So I don't know why I bought this. I must have been on some like shopping high, and I just was like, I need the NATASHA Denona palette, and then I decided to buy it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this palette retails for $170, which is insane. Like, ugh. I would never buy this for $170 now. Oh, what was I thinking? But truly, these are just not colors that I reach for very often. It's kind of like separated into two sections. So you have like this section, which has more like purpley tones in it, and then you have this section which has like blue and green tones. But overall, I don't know, it just looks very boring and bland to me, and I never ever use this. I actually used it recently in a video where I did a full face of my most expensive makeup, and I did not like the way my eyeshadow turned out. The formula is fine, but the colors are just, I don't know. This is not, oh man, this is definitely a regret purchase. I don't regret buying too much makeup, but this is something that I do regret buying just because it was so expensive, and I've used it like 3 times maybe. So obviously I have not gotten my money's worth out of this palette, and I just don't feel inspired when I look at it. So unfortunately, the Star palette has to take last place in my ranking video. So yeah, sorry Star palette. Speaking of palettes that are not NATASHA Denona, I did a full face of makeup I forgot about, and the palette that I used today, it's from Morphe. This is the Morphe 35O palette. Do you guys remember this palette? Because I totally forgot about it. This thing used to be like my favorite palette, and I actually love the way that my makeup turned out today. This palette is very old though. This is my like original one. As you can tell, it looks disgusting. So yeah, I'm considering repurchasing it because I used it today and I was like, dang, like I forgot how good of a palette this was. So just thought I would throw that in there. If you guys haven't seen that video yet, I will link it down below. Moving on to 16th place, we have the Cranberry palette. Is that what this is called? Yes, this is the Cranberry palette. Now this is really cute. This was one of the first Natasha Denona palettes that I purchased. Not the first, but one of the first. It's cute. It's one of their 5-pan palettes. This is like the larger 5-pan palette size. So this palette retails for $50. I don't even think they make this anymore, but the colors in here are really pretty. I do love the color story, but the formulas are so weird that it deters me from using this palette. So yeah, it's mainly these two shades right here, the two deep shades. They're kind of like a wet, like creamy, almost like a lipstick kind of formula. Super weird. It's not bad by any means. Like, it's really not bad. It's just weird, and it's like, I don't know, it's just kind of an inconvenience to use. I'm gonna need some makeup remover. But the other shades in this palette are fantastic. Like, the shimmer shades are so beautiful. I love that shimmer. It's so pretty, but this is just something that I never reach for because I can't complete a whole eye look with this palette because those two darker shades are just so like weird in formula, and I don't know. I never reach for this. I just feel like I pretty much opened up all my palettes and I was like trying to figure out like, okay, like I use this one the least. I don't like this color story. Like, I love this color story, but I use this one more. So I kind of just had to like force myself to choose an order. So this is the order that I came up with. So again, not like a bad palette, but just not something that I would purchase today. Like, if I didn't have this, I would not buy this today because yeah, I just don't ever use it. So that's number 16. For number 15, we have this one right here. This is another 5-pan palette. This is the Peak palette. I believe this was a BoxyCharm exclusive. It's a really pretty palette. It has a lot of nice warm, like orangey shades. The reason that I have this so low in my ranking is because of my lack of use in the palette. I've used it a few times and it's really nice. I just don't really tend to use like this warm toned of a palette on a day-to-day basis. I prefer something more neutral or like gold or rose gold or pink. This is a beautiful palette, and you've got 4 mattes, which I think is really nice and unique. They're all different tones, different shades, different undertones. You've got a cream, an orange, a brown, and more of like a pinky kind of orangey shade. And then you have the one shimmer. I think this is a really nice, like well-rounded palette if you like super, super warm-toned orangey eyeshadow. I just typically don't reach for this too often, but it is a beautiful palette, and these are some really nice mattes. Plus the shimmer is gorgeous. But yeah, the Peak palette gets number 15. In 14th place, we have this one right here. This is the Natasha Denona Tropic palette. This is a palette that is so cute. Like, I love the colors in here. I think it's adorable. It has some fun bright shades, some like pastel kind of vibes, and then also some neutral shades as well. This is a very like fun palette. It isn't one that I use like a ton, but I do love it. I love all of these palettes. Like, honestly, there's none that I hate. The Star palette, definitely I have like more of a negative like feeling, but I think most of that is just like me regretting spending so much money on it. But the formula of all of these palettes are fantastic. I do love Natasha Denona's formula. So even though this is lower on my ranking, it doesn't mean that I don't like the palette. I just want to make sure that's clear. But this is a really fun palette. It's super colorful. I love this purple and this yellow shade. I just don't really use it a bunch. I feel like that I do not use my luxury makeup enough to have this much of it. But yeah, I just don't really reach for this too often, and I don't even know if this is available anymore. Every time I look at it, I think that it's like it was a limited edition and it's gone. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's like my assumption with it, which I think is part of why I hesitate using it, just because I know that if I use it in a video and it's discontinued, people tend to get upset with me, so I tried my best not to do that. But yeah, I don't know, it's cute, but there's just other palettes that I like so much more than the Tropic one, but it's still a nice palette. This next one I'm embarrassed to show you guys. Like, I'm so embarrassed. Like, somebody needs to, like, I don't even know. I need a wake-up call. Well, this is my wake-up call because next we have the Sunset palette. And would you guys believe me if I told you that I have never ever used this palette? I'm ashamed. I am ashamed. Literally, I don't even think I've swatched a shade in this palette. It looks pristine. Like, what the heck? I spent $130 on this. Why did I not use it? And I've had this for a while, so I definitely need to use this soon because this is unacceptable. This is absolutely unacceptable. So I did decide to put this lower in the ranking because obviously I've never used it. So honestly, I don't even know if this should be in my ranking video, but since I have it, I figured I could judge it based on the textures that I see and the color story. So yeah, we have the Sunset palette. I am embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. And it's funny because I have the audacity to want to purchase the Sunrise palette, which obviously I do not need if I have never even touched the Sunset palette. So yeah, I'm making a lifestyle change. I am using my Natasha palettes more. I am using the Sunset palette more. It's going to happen. Next, in 12th place, we have the Natasha Denona Mini Love palette. I was so excited for this to come out. It is such a cute palette. You have some fun pink and purple shades in here. I like that there's a mixture of shimmer and matte. You have a lighter lavender matte and then a deeper purple matte. And then you have a pink shimmer, sort of like a duochrome, like bronzy pink shimmer, and then a lighter kind of champagne color. Overall, I think this is a gorgeous palette, but I like some of my other palettes more. It's hard to justify like why I specifically place each palette in each spot. Like, once you're past like 10 palettes, I feel like the justification is so much more difficult and I feel like I start repeating myself. But I do love these types of eyeshadow colors, but I also have the like regular Love palette, which I personally prefer. I would say typically I prefer a larger palette just because I like the variety. But that's not always the case, which you will see. So I decided to put this lower because if I'm gonna reach for a Love palette, I'm gonna reach for the regular one over the mini one. Although this is really nice for travel and I think it's so cute. I feel like you could get a really cute, like, oh my god, I almost dropped it, like romantic eye look with this. So yeah, we've got the Mini Love palette. We are almost to our top 10. This one is 11th place. And for 11th place, we have the Gold palette. This, I think, I'm like 99% sure this was my first Natasha Denona palette that I ever purchased. And this is a beautiful palette. It really is such a nice staple palette. You have some really fun like blues and greens, and then you also have lots of like gold and like yellowy brown matte shades, and overall I think this is so gorgeous. The textures are so fun to play with. I just think it's a really cute palette and I have definitely gotten some good use out of it. I could definitely use this a little bit more, but I just have so many eyeshadow palettes that I could literally use a different eyeshadow palette every single day of the year and not repeat. So yeah, I just did an eyeshadow palette declutter. Maybe I need to reevaluate my life because I still have way too many eyeshadow palettes, but it's like it's for my use, like my beauty use, but I also like kind of collect eyeshadow palettes, I feel like. So yeah, this is a gorgeous palette. I love it. It's so fun. And if you like these colors, I would recommend it. I would say out of the larger palettes, like the $130 price point, I think this is one of like the ones that I would recommend the most. Not that it's my favorite $130 palette, but I feel like a lot of people would really love this palette. So yep, we have the Gold palette in 11th place. Now we are in the top 10, so this is where things get spicy because I mean I love every single one of these palettes so much. So in 10th place we have the Mini Lila palette. This is such a cute palette. I love it so much. I love purpley eyeshadows, and I feel like this is a good representation of the Lila palette. So if you didn't know, so like for example, we have the mini Love palette that I showed you earlier, and then we also have the regular Love palette, and they sometimes pick shades from this palette, sometimes they create new shades, but it's sort of like a mini representation of the larger palette. At least that's how I think of it. And I think this was a very good representation of the full-sized Lila palette. I think this is so fun and so cute, and I just really like it a lot. Like I said, the colors are so pretty. I like that you have like a blue purple, more of like a purpley purple, like a cranberry purple. I just feel like there's so much variety in such a small palette, and I think it's really cute. So that's why she's in 10th place. In 9th place, we have yet another mini palette. This is actually the mini Star palette. So my least favorite palette in mini version. For some reason, this is so pretty to me. I love this palette. I think the color story is gorgeous. I love that there's a green, there's a blue, there's a cream, there's a brown, and there's like a shimmery kind of taupey color. I just feel like this is such a pretty palette and so perfectly complete while being so small. Like, I don't know how I like this one so much, and I don't really like the Star one that much. It's kind of weird. There's, you know, certain situations where like I feel like this, I don't see this as being a mini version of the Star palette. I see this as being like a completely different palette. But yeah, I think this is really cute, and I actually more recently acquired this. My mom had purchased it, and she didn't think she was really using it too much, so she gave it to me. And of course I wasn't going to turn down a NATASHA Denona eyeshadow palette. In 8th place, we have the Biba palette. This is a gorgeous neutral palette. I love the packaging on this palette also. I think it's so pretty. But here we have the Biba palette. You have so many staple shades in here. You have like a black, a light gray, a dark gray, you have like a mustard, you have some orangey, like warm tone neutrals, you have some browns, you have like a reddish brown, a cream, a couple shimmers. It's mostly a matte palette with like 3 shimmers. But overall, it's beautiful. This is a great staple palette if you like want to invest in a piece that you think you're going to use every single day. I feel like this is a good one just because it's so like versatile. I never know how you say that word. I feel like it depends, but maybe I'm just wrong. I don't know. But anyway, I think this is such a fun palette, and there's just so many staples in here. I think it's great. This is expensive. This is the $130 price point, but yeah, we like her. In 7th place, we have the Lila palette. This is the one I was talking about earlier. This is a gorgeous palette, and this is one of my favorite larger pan palettes, like the $130. I just think the colors are so fun. I love that there's like pinky purples, like blue tone purples. There's a couple of like peachy type shades, a gold. Most of the shadows in here are shimmers. I'm a sucker for shimmer shadows, so if I would pick between like an all matte and an all shimmer palette, I'm gonna pick the all shimmer palette, just because I feel like I have like a ton of matte shadows already, and shimmers just like they speak to me differently. So I love this because of all the shimmers. I love the colors in here. I love pink, I love purple, I love this color story. It is so fun. And here is just another like peek at the mini Lila palette, so you can see what I mean by like, I feel like this was a good representation of this palette. Like, it looks like you took this and shrunk it down, and then this is what you got. Like, I feel like they're very cohesive together, and I love both of the palettes. But yeah, I'm actually just noticing that I have 4 of the $65 palettes, and all 4 of them are in my top 5. What the heck? Obviously, I like the $65 palettes more than the $130 palettes, which I am not upset about. Well, I'm kind of upset because I spend the money on them, but like, I'm not upset for you guys because my top 5 is more affordable than like my bottom 10. In 6th place, we have the Circo Loco palette. This is a newer NATASHA Denona eyeshadow palette. This is a colorful one. This is the most colorful one that I own. It is so vibrant and fun. You have some really pretty jewel tones in here. You have a few pastels as well, actually. And this palette is very chaotic, I will say that, but I do love the colors in here. I think they're so fun and just like vibrant, and they stand out, and it makes me happy when I look at this palette. I would rearrange them because you actually you can pop them out, but for like reference and stuff, I don't want to do that, so that you guys know like what shades I'm using if I do use this in a video. So yeah, this is like how the palette comes. But if you don't like the way that the NATASHA Denona palettes look when they're in this hard packaging, they actually have little holes on the back, and you can just take a little pin and pop them out and rearrange them, and they are magnetic. So yeah, this is my last larger palette. Everything else is $65 or less. So let's go ahead and move into top 5, which my top 5 is like almost interchangeable for my favorite, but well, for second favorite, I have my favorite. My number 1 favorite is not budging, but 2 through 5 are pretty much all interchangeable. Did you guys see that they've reformulated and like rebranded the Coke Zero drink? Like, the can is different. I actually think the can looks really cool. It kind of, I don't know, it's like red instead of black. It's just really colorful and fun. But it says now more delicious, and they definitely changed the flavor, which Coke Zero is my favorite drink, and I'm not sure how I feel about the flavor changing. I didn't know that the flavor changed until I got home and I opened the package, because like the 12-pack outer packaging looked the same. But yeah, it definitely tastes a lot more like regular Coke, which I like it, but I kind of miss the old Coke Zero. So yeah, just thought I would break the news to you if you're an avid Coke Zero drinker. It's good, it's just definitely a lot sweeter. Anyway, in 5th place, we have the Zendo palettes. This is my newest NATASHA Denona palette, I believe, and this is the $65 size. So here's what it looks like. I think this is a beautiful palette. I have reviews of a lot of my NATASHA Denona palettes. If you just like search my name and then whatever palette, you can see if I have a review on it or not. I do have a review of this one, and I think this is a great palette. I think that it's fun that it's like warm toned and cool toned. There's some pops of color, but there's also some nice like wearable neutrals. I think there's a good variety of shimmers and mattes. I just think it's really fun. Now, I will say that I didn't love it as much as I thought I was going to, because of my expectations set by another palette, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But I do love it still, and I would still recommend this palette. It is fantastic. In 4th place, we have the Glam palette. And okay, I gotta be honest, I have not used this palette either, but I actually recently bought this, and I love the color story. I love the variation of texture. Just like look at this palette. It is beautiful. I've had so many people tell me how much they love this palette, and I'm so excited to use it. I'm just like waiting for the time. I feel like every time I sit down to film or do my makeup, I have to use like a different eyeshadow palette, but I cannot wait to use this one. It is so beautiful. It's very cool toned and taupey and silvery and gray, and yeah, I am excited about it. She's in 3rd. In 4th. In 3rd place, we have the Bronze palette, which this one I did use. I used it in a video somewhat recently, and you guys, when I tell you the shimmers in this palette are something else, they are something else. Like, let me swatch this. This one is called Silk. Are you kidding me? Oh my god. That metallic is insane. There are so many shades like that in this palette. This is like beautiful. It's warm-ish toned, but it's not orange. It's more neutral, but there is a little bit of warmth to it. This is the kind of color story that I love. So yes, this one is fantastic. I love this. I would highly recommend this palette. It's amazing. In 2nd place, man, we're just speed rounding this. In 2nd place, we have the Love palette, which I kind of like talked about earlier. And this is my last $65 palette. Here is what it looks like. I love pink, obviously, which is why this is so high up. I love the shimmers in here. It's very pink and purple. It's just a fantastic palette overall. The formula is incredible, and there's some really fun like duochrome type shades where it's like gold to pink and like purple to like blue. A very versatile palette, and I love it. I freaking love it. It's so cute. And yeah, I think this was my first $65 palette that I ever purchased, and I gotta tell you, these are incredible. I would recommend these over the larger palettes any day. And for the moment you've all been waiting for, I'm sure most of you have guessed it by now, but my favorite Natasha Denona palette is actually a $25 palette, and this one right here is the mini Zendo palette. This palette is so good. I love the color story of it. It is perfect. It's so fun. You have some little peachy moments with a pop of like sage. Like, it's genius. I would have never have thought to put that in here, but it's genius. I love the matte cream color, and then this like deep kind of like all like olive, not in like a green olive, but like a Kalamata olive, like a, you know, the Greek olives, like purpley kind of olive color. It's beautiful. I love this palette. It is fantastic. It's $25, and this is the best one. It's the best one that I have. I will say that I saw, I think the Mini Nude palette is what it was called, in Samantha March's video, and I don't have that one. And I really want to buy it now. So I might have to pick that one up, but for now, oh, it's beautiful. This one actually came out first, and I loved it so much, the mini Zendo, that when I heard that they were creating a full-size Zendo palette, I was like, this is gonna be the best palette in the entire world. But then it came out, and I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed because I didn't feel as though they really, I mean, they obviously kind of go together, but there are no repeat shades. Like from this to this, there are 0 repeated shades. So I don't know, I was expecting something a little bit more like subdued and like muted, how this palette is. So when this one came out with the brighter colors, it's just not what I was expecting. Although this did turn out to be a very beautiful palette, but this one, this one just has a special place in my heart. So if you're gonna buy a Natasha Denona palette, at least from my recommendation, from the ones that I have and that I've used, I would recommend this one. It's 25 bucks, which is a lot for like a little palette, but compared to 170, it's not bad. It's a great way to try the formula, and the color story is so cute. Great for travel, great to just like carry in your purse or whatever. I just think it's amazing, so I love her. This is my baby. But I think there are like 1 or 2 palettes that I now have my eye on because of Samantha March's video. So that was my ranking video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts on my ranking. Did I do a good job? Do you guys have like your Natasha Denona palettes ranked? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to check out Samantha's video and her channel. Go subscribe. But yeah, that's it. I will have all of the palettes linked down below if they're still available. I hope they are. If not, I'm sorry. But if they are, I will have them all listed and labeled in order from like, I'll do, I don't know, least favorite to favorite, order of mention. So yeah. That's it. I love you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. I forgot to blow a kiss.